Okay, so we've temporarily got this panel wired up here. I've got the Ethernet coming in. That's going to be a Unifi switch with power over Ethernet. We've got the connector to the reader on the door, the UA Pro, and that's also Ethernet. That's powering the reader. We have got our request to exit button, and I've temporarily got that hooked up. That's this guy. So when you push that, it's going to tell this unit that somebody's trying to get out the door. Over here, we've got this connected to the powered. This is our mag lock. We've got the normally closed and the common. So the common is going to be your negative, the normally closed is going to be your positive. That's not really intuitive on here, but that's basically how that works. This lock light doesn't really tell you when the door is locked. So even when the door is unlocked, this lock light is on. All these little lights are actually kind of slick. Like this one's not lit up here because these wires actually don't go in quite far enough. That's something I learned here recently. This light is not telling you the status of these. More so what it's actually telling you is whether or not you've got something connected. So if I push down these terminals, this thing comes on. If I let go, they go off. So these lights are actually a representation of whether or not there's something mechanically in these connections. So that's telling the Unifi controller, hey, if I don't have a request to exit sensor, then don't use one. So by the fact that it senses there's something in these connectors, it tells the controller, hey, there's a request to exit sensor, use it. So same thing over here. If I disconnect these, this lock light goes out. So I can show you that. Hey, look, there's no lock light. So it's not sensing the lock, it's just sensing the fact that there's something stuck into these terminals. So when I reconnect them, the lock light comes back on. So that's something to keep in mind. Like for instance down here, the auxiliary. If I push on these terminals, it's gonna light up. So that's just something to remember. I didn't really realize that. Took a little bit of figuring out. I was using some of these lighter gauge wires for my motion sensor for my request to exit. And what was happening was this light wasn't coming on, so it was never actually working. So that's just something to keep in mind. Use a large enough wire that's actually going to engage these contacts.